Have you ever been stuck trying to initialize a constant array inside a struct, only to find yourself scratching your head in confusion? If that's you, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into the world of C programming to tackle this tricky issue. I totally understand how frustrating it can be when your code compiles without errors, but the output is just not what you expected. You're not alone in this struggle. Many programmers face similar challenges, especially when dealing with structs and arrays. Here's the specific situation we're looking at. One user recently asked, how can I initialize a constant array inside a struct? They want to ensure that the size of their struct is exactly what they expect, but they're running into issues with the initialization. Sound familiar? Let's dig into this together. So, what could be causing this issue? When you try to initialize a struct with a constant array, the compiler may not handle it as you expect. This can lead to unexpected behavior, like the output you're seeing. Let's break it down step by step. And don't go anywhere. I've got a crucial tip at the end that will help you avoid these kinds of pitfalls in the future. To initialize a constant array inside a struct, the user should first ensure that the struct is defined correctly. The user can define the struct with a constant array type, but they need to be careful about how they initialize it. Next, the user should initialize the struct in a way that respects the constant nature of the array. Instead of trying to directly assign the array, the user can use a designated initializer. After initializing the struct, the user can then print the data stored in the struct. This will ensure that the data is correctly copied and displayed. Finally, the user should verify that the data is being stored and accessed correctly. They can do this by running the program and checking the output. Did you know? The C programming language was developed in the early 1970s and has influenced many other languages, including C++, Java, and Python. It's a classic for a reason. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. This user points out that initializing a const array in a struct is not possible in a standard compliant way. They explain that a const array must be initialized statically or with a string literal and cannot be initialized with a pointer or another array. They suggest removing the const modifier and documenting that the data should not be changed after initialization. This allows for using mempetpy to initialize the array. The user also mentions that having const members in structs complicates initialization, especially for arrays, and highlights that C++ has some support for this issue, but it remains problematic. That's all for that response. Let's see what someone else had to say. An alternative approach suggests defining a new struct for the data type. This struct can be freely copied. Inside the main struct, you can have a const member. You can use memcpy to copy the data into this struct, allowing you to initialize it correctly. Some compilers can optimize this process, eliminating unnecessary copies. If you pass pointers to the data type instead of char pointers, you can avoid the mempy step, but accessing the data will require an extra level of member access. Here's the tip I promised. Always double-check how you're initializing your structs and consider using memcpy for arrays. This simple habit can save you a lot of headaches down the line. And there you have it. With these tips, you should be able to initialize your constant array inside a struct without any issues. Remember, programming is all about learning and adapting. If you found this helpful, hit the subscribe button for more tips, and don't miss our next video where we tackle another common coding challenge.